Finally, the moment has arrived. Guitar 2 and 2.1 are finished. And what a huge step compared to the first one. Everything looks and sounds so much better. Just take a look at how awesome they turned out. Instead of just milling a few triangles in the body like last time, I want a constant pattern across the entire front and give it a much more cleaner look. The build starts with a picture on my computer. I use a vector program. It's like a normal drawing program, but the data is compatible with my CNC machine, and that helps a lot. After the PC part, it's time to preparing the boards. First I roughen up the surfaces and then it's smooth again. I want to make sure the glue holds really well. I glue the board vertically to achieve that cool color changing effect when milling. Another advantage of the board is that they are pretty flat, allowing me to glue them clearly without needing a planer. However, the planer is on my wish list, and that list getting pretty long throughout the video. I've already done some serious shopping, but some of the stuff is expensive and need a lot of space, so I have to work without the machines for now. Let's go to the milling machine. I was really curious if what I had in mind would actually work in reality. And sorry in advance for the video quality. There are some shots in that I wouldn't like to look even when I'm blind. But hey, it's still my second YouTube video, so I hope I'm forgiven. Originally, I just wanted to build one guitar, but I saw so much potential in the hexagon pattern that I ended up building a second one. Plus, it helps me with the background music. Everything you hear was played with the two guitars, and with two guitars you can play so much cooler stuff. Unfortunately, it also highlights every rhythmic mistake twice as much, so sorry for every mistake I made. Two guitars also made things a bit more complicated video-wise. The two guitars are always in different editing stages, and you'll probably find a lot of timing mistakes where the guitar in the background has already painted on, even through the painting part comes later in the video. Feel free to point out all the timing mistakes in the comments. Whoever leaves a comment with all the timing errors will get an honorable mention in the next video. Oh, and get ready for some of the worst beauty shots you've ever seen. I really tried, but I don't think I've been a cameraman in the near future. If anyone wondering why there are hexagon on the edges, they help me choose my finish later. Next up is Guitar 2.1. There was a bit of a crisis, the positioning shifted and I had no idea what to do. The culprit was quickly found. When milling the pocket, the cutter seemed to have messed up. A tiny shift and boom, huge problems. I guess I still need to optimize my milling parameters, but the blade was already shifted, so I first recalibrated the 0 points, realign it, and after a few test mills I decided to let the program run. The result was really good, with a slight offset, but still beautiful. Now it's time to go from the front to the back. Of course, I also wanted a hexagon pattern here. And of course I didn't learn from the mistakes on the first guitar and didn't make the milling depth deep enough for the electronics. In the end, I was just too afraid of breaking through the front. And well, that means more work later. So I milled the contour again, and both bodies were finished for now. But there's more to do. My goal for every guitar is to try something new, whether it's a small detail or a big change. For the guitar, it was altering the neck. I wish I could build my own guitar neck, but with my current equipment, it's safer to modify a purchased one. After properly aligning the neck, I started with a small cutter. It worked out pretty well, except for a slight shift and a lot of fraying. I think that problem comes from the cheap mills I used. And then it's time to deburr everything. It's really amazing how much time you spend filing and sanding on a guitar build. But all this extra work isn't for nothing though. It's all to prepare everything for the epoxy resin. When I first thought about buying a CNC machine, I watched way too many videos of those cool epoxy resin tables, and I was immediately confident I'd incorporate that into my guitar. And I'm definitely going to work with the epoxy resin on the body as well in the near future. There are so many exciting possibilities, especially with different colors, so stay tuned for what's to come. I choose a dark purple to create a nice contrast with the light wood. Everything measured out perfectly and poured into the cavities. It looks so good right away. I thought I'd rather let it overflow a little and sand it down later, but that turned out to be a bad decision. Some epoxy is spilled over to the side, but let's see how it looks once it cured. But while the epoxy cured, let's move to the bodies. With my first guitar, this section took several hours. Thanks to an improved milling program, it only takes minutes here. I also got a jigsaw for my birthday, and it did a great job with Guitar 2.1. It also looks great in the recording. Now let's head back to some physical work. Since I don't have an oscillating belt sander yet, I used a file for the rough shaping. Honestly, I had a lot of fun with it. It's just so satisfying to getting closer to the final result with every bit of material you remove. It's hard to believe since I have doubled the video material with the two guitars, but these are actually the best shots I've made. The autofocus is so terrible that you probably haven't even noticed the little mistake until now. Oopsie, I will fix that later. For now, I can't do anything, so I'll finish everything calmly and thinking about how I can fix it later. My solution? Glue new wood on top of the broken parts and shape it back by hand. While the glue dries, I take care of an issue on Guitar 2.0. For that I printed a little 8 that I now attach to the body so I can calmly work with a wood chisel. Then I tried another time to put the neck in and perfect. I also went back to the 3D printer and printed a few washers for the putties. This time I used a different printer that can print carbon fiber reinforced material, much more stable and reliable. It was really tough getting them off the support platform. Okay, the glue on Guitar 2.1 is dry, and now it's time for some finesse. I took my time and slowly removed material bit by bit, and after an hour or so, the massacre was almost completely gone. However, there was still a problem with the neck. The neck pocket was a little bit too big and I needed to add some extra material. So I glued a scrap piece of wood, then I used my jig and a chisel to carve the excess material. There's still a small gap, but it already looks so good. Love it. So I cut another piece of wood and repeated the whole process. Although I was pretty frustrated that the pocket was too big, I actually had fun with the afterwork. Fixing problems is somehow satisfying, at least in hindsight. In the moment I was really annoyed. Now everything fits, so let's move on to the back. I hadn't milled the electronic pockets deep enough, and I was too scared to destroy everything with the hand router. So I used a drill and a hand chisel to make enough space for the pots and switches. Next time I will check the milling depth 5 times before taking the body out of the machine. I naturally collected the wood shavings and used them to fill a few small holes. Then it's time for sanding. Endless hours of filing and sanding until the surface is nice and smooth. Anyone who wants to build a guitar really has to enjoy sanding and filing, or have the money for the right machinery. An oscillating sander is definitely on my Christmas list. Then I add some water on the body to raise the wood fibers, which will then be smoothed out again in the next sanding step. This fine work for a nice surface probably makes up to 50% of the entire build. You really have to love sanding when building a guitar. A little shielding paint goes on to get a nice interference-free tone from the pickups. One last sanding and then comes the best part, the finish. After some dry runs I decided on an oil finish. I love this transformation. There's nothing more beautiful. Since it was so much fun, I sanded everything again and oiled it once more. All that effort for this beauty. Even with my shanky hand and SD toaster camera, it looks absolutely stunning. I also tried to take some better close-up shots with limited success. I think I need a course in camera handling or something for the next video. Then we have a nice layer of primer, followed by sanding and clear coat. Then another layer of clear coat, and the whole process was repeated 3 times. And the body is finally done. Back to the next. The epoxy had plenty of time to cure. First I scraped off the rough epoxy remains with the chisel, then I used my new hand sander. Unfortunately, the sander caused the wood to turn blue. I tried to fix it by hand, but with limited success. I was still hoping that it wouldn't be noticeable after the finish. Yeah, well, bad luck. It still looks pretty bad. It was time to find a solution again. As so often, the 3D printer saved my ass, or so I thought. I printed a guide and planned to use it to overpaint the blue stripes. But before I start painting, I want to test how precise I could be. So I tried to hit the center exactly with a pencil. However, the whole thing turned out to be way too unreliable. After thinking about for a while, I decided to leave it as it is. Anything else would have been too risky, and in the end, I could have made it even worse. Now we came to the electronic covers in the matching design. I used a wood filament. It's have like 20% wood in it, and it has the nice look and warm feel of wood. The covers get like 3 coats of isolating paint. And since I used wood filament, I can also treat the 3D printed parts with wood oil to make them look even more beautiful. I tried 2 different types of cover, and the clear winner is Guitar 2.1. The simple design makes it so much easier to produce. The next guitar will all get that simple shape with special inlay and with magnets. The screws on the cover disturb the clean look. I also designed and printed some knobs. However, in the end I wasn't happy with the result, so I replaced them with standard gold knobs. They look just better. And now we are at the assembly stage. First comes the tuners, then the bridges, the humbucker pickups, and the rest. There's a little soldering to do, and then the neck is jointed with the body. In my case it was a bit of a rough wedding. Finally, I set the intonation and string height. And then it's time to listen to the guitar. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe and do something special today. And for everyone who is interested in the guitar, write it in the comments. I'm thinking about a shop and sell my guitars to buy more machines and to build more and better guitars.